All right, can everyone hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
I can. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Shia, are we looking on YouTube? Are we live? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so welcome everybody. Welcome to the second workshop, second design workshop of HNG 9. Um, uh, so, Deja vu, please, as discussed, help check the comment section so that if you have questions, we're going to be taking them. Right. This workshop is not going to be very long. We're just going to be addressing a couple of things. Number one, from the first workshop that we had, we, of course, we explained what we we're going to be doing, and a task was given. We got quite a number of submissions actually, but then we saw that a a lot of a lot of people don't quite understand what we're asking for, right? What they are needed to do. So the essence of this workshop is to um, review some of the submissions that we've gotten. We're just going to be highlighting a couple of do's and don'ts that you might need to pay attention to going forward. And we're also going to be explaining the tasks so that you have a clear idea of exactly what we're expecting you to do. And so we're going to be taking turns reviewing, and I'm just going to be going first so we don't take too much time. All right. So if you can recall, we shared the design rules book during the first call. And for those that were not able to follow that call, we also provided the link to download that on our Twitter and do right. People have actually been downloading that. So if you don't have that yet, this is it right here on the screen. Books.zuri.team, right? Just visit book.zuri.team and then you can download the design guide. Design guide contains all the rules that we want you to look at. We are going to be looking out for, which expects you to take into account with every submission that you're going to be delivering. All right, so let me just share my screen really quick and then we can get started with some of the submissions that we've gotten and then just walk everyone through the things that needs to be improved on and some things that were done right. I'm just gonna go. David, you can get ready to go after me. So I'm gonna share my screen real quick. All right, all right. Just let me know if you can see my screen. So I need a verbal confirmation from one of the mentors so I know to proceed
Yes,
because
I
I
can
can
see your
see.
Yeah,
screen.
sure, sure.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much. All right, so this was one of the submissions that we got, right? In as much as we, of course, this person put in effort to the best of their ability, but then this really doesn't capture the task that was given, right? The task was to redesign Winamp, all right? The old version of Winamp. Winamp is actually a desktop app, right? Not a web app, not an ordinary music player, right? So this doesn't really follow any of the design principles or the design rules that were given in the design book, right? From the choice of image, because as you can see, I'm trying to zoom in. Okay, yeah. As you can see, this image is already pixelated. And one of the design rules that we had was to use high quality images, right? So this definitely is a no-no, right? The spacing between the images and the fonts are not even, they're not balanced at all, right? And overall, it's the images are really pixelated. So it's taking a lot of attention. Like it's taking a lot of, yes, the attention that the design is supposed to grab, right? Because this is difficult to understand. You're seeing an image. This is supposed to be the visual representation of the sound. It's difficult to understand, right? So I, for a design like this design actually needs more thoughts, right? We commend you for the effort, but then it it could pretty much be better. It really could be better, right? If you even when you're looking at the page at a glance, right, there is excess padding, excess spacing at the bottom, and then there's almost not enough at the top, and then the spacing between the supposed buttons, these are supposed to be buttons, and the images, it's just not aligned. So this design actually needs a lot more structure, a lot more, let's just say a lot more sauce, right? And also the choice of colors, right? So it's obvious that whoever did this really just needs to go through the handbook, because everything that is wrong here can be fixed by reading the design handbook, right? So yeah, this is yes, one of the design submissions that we got that we felt that we needed to talk about, so everyone else could understand what we're looking for and what we're expecting to see. All right. On the other hand, this is one of the designs that we got that we actually liked. We felt like this was interesting because, number one, this person actually redesigned the redesigned winner effectively, right? So you can see, excuse me, let me zoom in here. You can see from a glance that everything is structured, right? Everything is well arranged. The buttons are, they are well spaced, they are big enough to be clicked. Like the hierarchy is good and everything, right? The spacing between the songs and the dividing lines are equal. Like it is obvious. It's something you can easily see at a glance, right? And the amount of detail that went into this work is really amazing, right? So this is an example of something of things that we're expecting to see. Although in a sense, this also needs a bit more work because I'm seeing some controls I don't understand. So if the person who wants this is on this call right now, uh, I'm seeing controls here. This is supposed to be what is played correctly. I'm saying pause, previous, of rewind, fast forward, and all. But then I'm also seeing controls here, so I'm confused. Which one am I using when? This playlist for these controls or for these controls, right? That's a little bit confusing. I'm fine with the equalizer. This is well placed and everything. I think the only issue I'm having with this is understanding how these are supposed to be working together, right? Yes, that's pretty much it. Aside that, I think this is a nice submission. So by the way, you can see the clear difference between these and the first one, right? This one has structure, it has hierarchy, and it's obvious that this person actually followed the rules that we've given, right? So these are the things that we're expecting to be seen. It's not really hard. It's not that deep. It's you just have to look at what you're designing and look at the rules and just try to align things, right? You can also see from this design that the contrast is clear. Like this shade of blue is very, very visible on a shade of black. And this is a shade of black, and this is a shade of blue, or teal rather, right? So it's obvious. We can see everything at a glance. Everything is clear. So these are the kind of things that we're looking to see. I think I should just take one more before I let another mentor take over from me, so that I don't. Sorry, I don't think this is the one I want to take. Let me hide this. All right. Is someone talking? All right. So this is another, right? Now I really do commend this person's work because I can see that a lot of thought went into it, right? So a couple of things I'm going to be pointing out. Number one is that we said it earlier, right? That your spacing should be equal. Right? Your spacing around your elements should be equal. When items are in a rectangle or a box or whatever it is that you want to call it, they should be evenly spaced around. Excuse me. For this, for instance, I'm seeing a lot of space on the right. This space, this excess space is unnecessary, right? Really. So this could have been reduced, right? This could have been reduced. I can see that the person followed one of our rules, which is stick with same the same icon type all through, because these are outlined icons, and the person used outline all through, which is quite great. I commend the person for using that, right? But then this space here is too much, right? Too much. It should have well been reduced. And generally, the spacing between the albums just it needed to be increased. I can see that you used. I hope the person is on this call. I can see that you used a larger typeface or a larger font or a larger size rather for the titles, and then it's a smaller one for the names, which is quite good. We understand that this is the title and this is the name of the artist. The contrast between Those sections are good. But then the space between the albums are too close. This could have been better if it was increased, number one. And two, this feels a bit weird, right? So from everything you'll be doing, there's one of the rules that says don't reinvent things, always try to stick with what people currently are used to and everything. People are used to having their controls like this, right? Hold on, please. Yeah. So people are not used to having everything structured like this, because I'm saying it would have been a lot better if this was below, right? And then these icons are too tiny. They're looking really tiny. It could have been better if it was increased. And I personally feel like this is a personal feeling, of course. I personally feel like this could have been placed elsewhere, right? This could have been placed elsewhere. So I think in general, this is not looking bad. You actually put a lot of work, but I feel like it could have been better structure wise. Right? Should have been better structure wise. Right? These are looking too choked up. I think this works. This works. They are well spaced and everything. We can understand the space between the main and all could have been increased. Right? The spacing here are not even. I'm saying that there's too much space here and not so much here. Right. So basically, you guys can see that a lot of these things that we are saying, they are things that we've already stated in the design guide before now. Okay, I think I have it open here, but I don't think I need to be running through this again because we've already done this before. Right. So what you just need to do is go through the guide and ensure that you're doing the things that the guide contains, right? You're doing what you're supposed to do, because really it's not about the first person to submit, because we were impressed actually when we got the first set of submissions. We were actually pretty impressed that people submitted fast. But then it's not about the first to submit. It's really about what you're submitting, not necessarily how fast you submit it, right? So this you put in a lot of work, yeah, but it could have been better. Could have been better. I have a number of other submissions open, but I think at this point I would stop for a while so someone else can one other mentor can also review what they have, and we can take it from there. So Chinedu, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, awesome. So
I
let me
am.
just stop sharing my screen so you can share yours too.
Yeah, definitely. Let me do that. Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Can everyone see? Okay, awesome. All right. So I'll be taking everyone through some of the submissions, right? We got yesterday, and some of them we've reviewed. Why some of them are still pending, but I'll be taking everyone through. So this was one of the submissions we got, and I understand the fact that we mentioned that I understand the fact that the task was around redesigning Winamp, but I don't know what this is. This looks this looks really, I don't know what to call it. It doesn't really have a name. First of all, the color. I'm not sure you can look at this for like 5 minutes and not cry. You're definitely going to cry because the colors are really bleeding. The hierarchy of this design is off, right? As a user, I don't know exactly where to focus. Am I focusing on this? Am I focusing on this? Like everything is just highlighted on the screen. So I'm not really sure where to focus as a user, or as someone who actually wants to play a song. Now we have a section here. This person designed a section here where you can play a song, and also you can play a song here. How many places should I, as a user, play a song on a particular screen? There's really no focus. There's really no focus with the design with the design pattern, right? And also the color that was used was really off also. Now, talking about aside the color, the text is actually not readable. I believe one of the rules in the guide, in the rule book, was about text, using readable text that someone can actually relate with, and be able to actually understand what is happening on that particular screen. So this if we're to grade this particular design, right, zero is going to be really nice for the person. Like zero is actually nice. If there's anything like minus 5, like I give that person, 'cause this design is totally off. I'm not sure what the guy was. I'm not sure whoever designed it. I'm not sure what the person was playing at, but um, this design is totally off. So let me go through another design. One of the designs I actually like, which was this particular design. So the reason why I like this design is the consistency with icons. The consistency with icons. Yeah. This person actually um this person intentionally chose a specific icon that is relatable to the product he or she is designing. These icons are rounded. As you can see, they're rounded, and they are all they are all strokes, not filled icons. They're all stroke icons, right? This is a perfect example of what we actually need from everyone who is going to be participating in HNG 9. All right. I also like the fact that the person chose a font which is actually readable. You can read this font. You can digest the content on this particular page, right? He actually arranged it perfectly in a very hierarchical manner. At the top, you can see a header. Right at the bottom, you can see a selection of songs, the albums, artists, and then favorites, right? But where there might be an issue with this particular, the design is good, but where there might be a particular issue with sorry, where there might be an issue with this particular design is where we have shuffle, right? We have shuffle here, and then we have shuffle here. There's no need duplicating functions on a particular interface. You can only shuffle multiple times here. You can shuffle once, you can shuffle the entire album or the entire playlist here. Um, this is one design I actually like, and though it's not perfect, I can see that the outline are not really they are not blending well with the color he or she chose for this particular design. But this is a design that will actually scale for stage one in the HND internship. And I hope I actually explained well, because honestly, this design is actually appealing. So let me take another one. Let me take another one, and this will be my final design review. So this design is actually good, all right, but there are a lot of inconsistencies with the design. Um, in one of our rules, we mentioned something about consistency. If you're going to be using rounded edges for your design, your designs make sure your designs are all make sure the components you'll be using are majorly rounded edges. Now this person chose a sharp edge here. If you notice, this banner here has a sharp edge, and then when you come here, there's a round edge, there's a sharp edge. So this person is basically using two different components or styles on a particular interface, which makes the design very inconsistent, and it looks very, very rigid. The buttons here are rounded edges, right? And yeah, and the card here are not. And then when it comes to the font type, this font actually aligns with the design if he or she went with a rounded edge kind of style, but this button doesn't, because these edges are way too sharp for this particular design. So there is a kind of like there's a lack of balance in this particular design. And not I won't say this person didn't do well, right? But just a little bit here and there. And this person is this designer is actually going to get it well. And I believe that is why we are all here in HND, right? To to better improve on our design skills. I believe that will be all from my end. That will be all the review from my end because those I've shown the bad designs and then the good designs, and I believe I've actually impacted something. And in your next in the next submission, we would really like to see something that is tailored to the rule that to the rule we actually basically to the rule. So that will be all from my end for now. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Chinedu. That was insightful. Thank you for walking us through all that. David, are you ready?
Yeah.
Awesome. Please take us away.
All right. Let's share my screen. Okay. So I hope you can see my screen. Good evening. I'm David. I just have one design to review, and it's this one. So first thing I want to say is for this stage, you don't need to think too much. We're just checking for the basic stuff, and those basics are what we have documented in the handbook. So if you can go through the handbook carefully and stick to those basics, you'll be fine. The design I have here didn't do badly too. Person followed a lot of basics and did well. For example, high quality images, can see, even if I zoom in, you can see that it's still quite clear.
This is really good.
So, and then you can see there's some level of hierarchy. There's good alignment, there's good spacing. So, but first thing I want to point out is something that Danny pointed out earlier is try not to invent the wheel. If you look here, you'd see that this is not what people are used to. I mean, if a person wants to forward, like, let's say he wants to move from 30 seconds to 60 seconds, where does the person grab and drag? So try not to reinvent the wheel. Just go with what everybody's used to, because people don't like surprises. They just want to get on with what they're doing, and they already have him. They have something that they're used to, so just do that. And then there's one thing that this person made a mistake on. It's the fact that the person used black 0000000 all through. Man, it's everywhere. Black. The reason, look, I think I should just explain why we say don't use black. It's because it's kind of harsh to the eyes. After looking at it for a while, you begin to get tired, and that's already bad user experience. Like, you're literally affecting physical state of your users negatively. So as much as possible, try to avoid using black text on white background. It's quite harsh. And then we talked about getting your margins right. Margins are important because they help give your work not a sort of balance. So there's a margin here saying 31.25. Even the decimal was already throwing me off. Okay, let me just, this 31.25, this is 30. Okay, they're fairly the same. But if you come onto the other side, you start seeing something different. You see 51, and then you see this picture is 78. You see this over here is 45. So the margins are unequal. It's not really balanced. And then it's what people are used to. Another thing I want to say is people are used to interacting with digital devices the same way they interact in the real world. So they're just coming into your app, so to say. I think it'd be nice to have a little greeting here to just welcome them. And even better if there's some personalization. So welcome something. It's so important that oftentimes it is advised that make it have the biggest hierarchy. You know, when you walk into a room, what's the first thing you do? You greet people that you find there. You know, that is normal human interaction. So that is very much advised. So that's something I think the person could have done to make it better. And then I don't think this should be here. Also, remember, one of the rules in the handbook says if it's clickable, then it should look like it's clickable. If it's a button, it should look like it's a button. Now, if I'm not exactly clear on what the purpose of this is, but if it's that the person wanted it to be clickable, maybe to lead to the profile, then the person has not made it obvious at all. So if it's clickable, let it be obvious that it's clickable. And I also think that it should be somewhere up here because it shouldn't be down here. It should have better hierarchy. And what else? There's also some issues with alignment over here. It should align all the way. It should flush with the with this imaginary margin that has been created here. So it should flush to the right. It should blend with the end of this, the border of this picture. And also, before I go, the instruction is to create a desktop app. This looks like a web app. So as much as possible, because there's going to be another chance to make another submission, as much as possible, try not to go with the cliche of web apps. No. I mean, the former designs of the web app, even though it's not beautiful, but you can already tell that it's a desktop app. Dimensions of desktop app are a little bit more flexible, and the design structure is a little bit more different. You should not design this task like it's a web app now. And then if you look at this card over here, this card is a good card, but I think that this button will be better placed close to here because of the proximity rule. So imagine this came all the way here. So as soon as the person reads the name, the artist, they can go ahead and click the CTA. That would have been a much better way to do it. And then generally, I think the design is a little bit dull. It's good, but it's dull. A little bit of color would have done a lot of magic. Otherwise, I think the person did quite great. There's good feedback. The icons are quite consistent. The spacing is actually really okay. The layout isn't bad. And yeah, with that, I think I'm good to go. Thank you guys, and I hope I've been able to help. Honestly, if you stick to the basics, you do great. There's no need to overthink it. We're not judging for advanced user experience or advanced usability. We just want to see you do the basics quite well. And if you do that, you'll be very fine. Thanks, guys. I think I will stop like that.
All right, thank you very much, David. I think that was quite insightful. Okay, so I think I have a couple more that I should run through. Yeah, let me share my screen again. Okay, close this. Apologies for the delay. Share. All right, can we see my screen? Hello? Hello, Nils?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, all right, thank you. So yes, this is another one we came across. I think the obvious problem with this would first of all be the choice of colors. That's the number one obvious problem, like the choice of colors. The first rule of the handbook says choose complementary colors. These are not complementary. These let's just put it that way, not complementary, right? So if this is your work and if you're here, it's the first problem with this design is the colors, right? The colors need to be better. The second one is that it's quite confusing. Actually, part of the confusion will come from the colors because it's difficult to keep track of everything. Like, it's all jumping out at me, right? So yes, the color is one of the bigger problems, and you know what? So you need a better structure. This design needs a better structure. One, these buttons, I think they are buttons. Yes, they should be buttons. So it's not so obvious that they're buttons. They're just there. All right, they're just there. So your buttons need to be more obvious that they're buttons and then they're clickable. And these are too big. They're taking too much attention. They're not supposed to be the ones taking most of the attention. Right? So for subsequent designs, you have to ensure that the items in your nav menu are not too, are not too big, so they're not taking a lot of attention. The Winamp, let's just talk about the space between the Winamp logo and the actual logo icon. The space is too much. It's better reduced. Then I feel like this part, right? The controls for this is supposed to be a web app, right? Of course, that was a task. I mean, a desktop app rather, that was a task. But then I don't know if you've noticed, but the controls for desktop app, the control for music players should be within reach. This feels like it's out of reach. It's on the top left, which I don't think works. There's a reason why Spotify and the likes have theirs at the bottom where it's easily accessible and it's there every single time you need it, right? That structure works. And even when you open your music player on your phones, you notice the same structure, that the controls are at the bottom closer to where your thumbs, can access them and everything, right? So this would have been better placed here at the bottom. I think we've seen a couple of designs, design submissions that had that, right? So the controls are better placed at the bottom. Like I said, the colors need more work. There's no contrast between these titles and the actual titles. I'm seeing title of one thing. There's no difference between this text. It's looking like it's just one single text. This could have been better. The ratings, there's a reason why ratings have a shade of yellow, and that color is always different from the text that came before. It's for the ratings to be more obvious and for it to actually communicate better. The way the colors are used here is just it's making it difficult to give actual feedback, right? But then please note this. This overall design needs a lot more structure, right? It needs a lot more structure. You can easily see that the padding, the space between this and the divider is too close. I think the problem is everywhere, right? Too close. And if this was deliberate, I'd love to understand why. But if it wasn't, this line is supposed to extend to the top. Like there's a lot of things to be fixed here. A whole lot, right? A whole lot. So I think you have a lot of work to do. Really, you have a lot of work to do. A whole lot of work to do. This person is also falling victim of the issue I pointed out earlier, where the spaces between the albums are too close, right? There should be a significant space between one album and the other, right? The space between the title, the album and the title, the image and the title is good, but then there should be significant space between the albums. I don't know. This just feels confusing to me. It feels confusing to me. So this needs to be better. Please, if you're here, it needs to be better. You need to imagine it completely. Let's not waste too much time on that. This was another submission that we got. Now, this is not bad. This is not bad. By the way, ellipse has 3 dots. It doesn't have to be longer. I can't even count the number of dots here. What do you want to listen to? 3 dots. That's enough. This is too much. It's too long. Please pay attention next time. Why is everyone doing this? Oh, okay. I can see why you guys are doing this. Is it because Winamp has the yes? So this Winamp, the fact that Winamp has theirs at the top left doesn't mean that's the best approach. Please and please. Please and please. So these would have been better positioned at the bottom, like I said earlier. The equalizer can stay where it is. Yeah, I already mentioned this. Actually, I don't think this is bad at all because it looks like, yeah, the person followed a lot of the rules in the design. Okay, this makes a lot of sense. You can see the space I was talking about. Right? It is so obvious that this is the end of Free Spirit and this is the beginning of For Broken Eyes. It is so obvious. This is exactly what I'm talking about. The spacing should be enough, right? But then the pattern here is a little bit weird, right? Because I'm seeing the space between these albums and this border is 20, but then the space between them individually are now 52. It's a bit unbalanced, right? It's a bit unbalanced. So I think it would have been better if the spacing was increased more, right? And this comes a little bit closer, and then the spaces in between these are um, reduced, they are brought together. So the padding can be equal, because really it's all about visual hierarchy. The first thing that people see, you don't want them to look at your design and then go, oh, what is this? I don't understand what I'm seeing, right? So the space here is way too small. It could have been better, right? I think a lot of things here were done right. A lot of things here were done right. By the way, this was a little bit distracting. The background that the design is placed on, I don't know what it's doing. I don't know the essence of it, right? But I can see that you try to use a gradient. This is a gradient that I do not like. Right? Uh, it's not helping. It would have been better if you submitted this without the gradient. Please, like I said, it's not even like I said, there is a rule in the design book that says if you're not sure about gradients, don't use them, right? It's not easy to come up with great gradients. So if you're not sure, don't use them, so you don't cost yourself, a chance and stuff like that. This gradient is not helping at all, at all. Like, it's not. Can I move this away from me? Oh, awesome! I can move this. Okay, this is
Uh,
another one. I don't think we'll be able to. What was that?
Sorry, Tammy. I want to say something regarding the previous design.
This one.
Yes. Just a quick
Go on.
one. Just a quick one. You guys need to get to the concept that when they ask you to redesign something, doesn't mean that every single element in the whole design needs to stay. You're meant to make it better from what it used to look like. And a lot of you are using the equalizer and the rest of it. When you look at the modern, what we have now, typical music app that we have now, you won't find this there anymore. So a lot of people constantly use it in their design. The essence of redesigning is for you to, reinvent it, make it look better, let it look like the way apps looks like now, not to maintain all the oldies that people have moved past. Nobody uses this except somebody that is probably mixing music or probably
DJs.
a DJ and all. So you guys
Yeah.
should have in mind when they ask you guys to redesign something, meaning you should look at what that concept is now and try to make it better. That's just what I wanted to say.
Yes, thank you very much, Shola. That's actually a very nice point. I think I'm gonna be speeding through because we can't go over everything. It's gonna take a lot of time. I feel like this is the problems with this is the problems are obvious, right? The number one would be the choice of colors. These colors are not helping. That's number one. These colors are not helping at all. And secondly, it will be this. I noticed them from a glance. These are buttons, right? I mean, I'm confused. If they are, why are they looking this weird? Uh, I don't understand. And why is this like this? What's so you guys need to be deliberate about how you use components, really, because it's not really all about slapping fonts on the background or trying to get one shade and all. And it's not really about that. You have to be deliberate about every decision, every design decision you make, right? This I honestly don't know how to judge these right now. And I don't want to start breaking it apart one by one because it will take a lot of time, right? But then at a glance, the color here is off. I'm seeing padding issues for a lot of the controls and the buttons, right? So this is supposed to be a button, so it needs more space. I shouldn't. Okay, I'm not even trying to edit. It needs more space, right? It needs to feel like a button. The contrast between the colors are not helping, and I'm seeing drop shadow. Okay, so please and please, drop shadows are not a must. If you're not sure about how to use them, it's better to not use them and just use your colors effectively instead. Because I can see this and it feels a bit off. This shadow actually feels a bit off. I hope I'm not the only one that sees it. Feels a bit off. So please, 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 please. This okay, I think I'm just gonna move on from this because I don't know. I just this is difficult for me to judge. It's difficult for me to judge. But then it should tell you that this design has a lot of problems, a whole lot of problems. it's not even looking like a web. It's not looking like a desktop app, actually. It's not. So look at this, for instance, right? You have playlists and you have 1, 2, 3, 4. What happens when I have 10 songs in my playlists? Like, where's the scroll bar? How do I scroll? Like, or am I just allowed to have 4? Then what's this plus button for? Is it to add a new playlist? What's the miscellaneous for? I'm wondering what miscellaneous is doing here. Then you're doing the exact opposite of what we said. We said stick with a single icon pattern. This is an outline. This is looking like a field. It's even a field, and I think your icons are pixelating. So you're mixing few different icon types. You're using different colors, inconsistent colors. The color contrast is wrong. This is not attractive at all, and there is really no. So look at this, for instance. You're telling me that this is what I need to drag in order to forward or rewind, but then where? Hold on, let me show you something. This is Spotify, for instance, right? It's obvious that once you've played the song up to a point, you would, see your progress, that it's green, so you've gotten all the way, and the parts where you've not gotten to, it's a bit dim. So it's so obvious that this is, this is the distance left to cover, this is the distance already covered, and all that, and you can easily, see your draggable controls. But here it's just bland, and then we have something that looks like a control with outlines, right? So it's difficult to understand. That's basically what we're driving at. So it basically just needs a lot more work. It needs a lot more work. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Really, it's not hard. Like I said before, it's not that deep. Like just design with the handbook. I mean, with the rule book in mind. That's it. Every single thing we've been pointing out, like, are in the design book. Every single thing, right? Every single thing is in the design book. So you don't have to think far. You don't have to think, but just consult the design book and you will be fine. And you will be fine, really. Okay, I feel like we're taking a lot of time. We should end very soon. We should end very soon. This is obvious that it's a web app. It's looking like a web app. Like what Fola said earlier about the equalizer, right? I feel like the reason why people are leaving the equalizer is because it looks like equalizer is a major part of Winamp. It's from the reason it was looking like that. So maybe that's why you guys have been, sticking with the equalizer and all. But even if you want to stick with the equalizer is not the primary aim of Winamp, right? So it shouldn't be taking this much space. It shouldn't be this obvious, right? So you want to position your components. You want to structure them better. So the primary function should be what is more accessible than the others, right? So I like this, for instance. The controls are down here. I can easily see, I can easily see what I'm supposed to do. And I think, yeah, this person tried to an extent, but I'm still seeing different icon types. So this is an outline and these are filled. And this color is different from this. So you guys really just need to pay attention to your work. So the things that you're working on, really, it's the details that matter, the basics rather. And you have everything you need in the design book. There is one I saw. Somebody gave us something that we didn't ask for. Okay, for this, for instance. Okay, so let's start with the obvious, the paddings, right? There's 19 on the left, there's 11 on the right. These feel like they're too thick, and they look a bit compressed to me. I don't know if it's just my eyes. Like the icons. Let me zoom in a bit more. Icons are too thick, and they're looking compressed. Is it my eyes? Can anybody confirm that this is not?
No, it actually looks compressed.
Okay, it's not my
Yeah,
eyes.
that
Right?
one.
So the person
No, you're right.
I think the person mistakenly compressed. You probably were reducing the size from the top. Okay, so then another problem with these is that the lines are too thick. They're too obvious, too visible. They're taking way too much attention. They don't have to be this visible. You could have you could have just reduced the opacity or something, or choose a different shade of gray right? So that it's a bit masked and not this obvious, because it's taking a lot of attention. If you zoom out and look at this, it's so obvious to notice the lines, and the lines are not important. It's not the lines that people are supposed to be noticing. It's the actual features of the app, right? So please, these lines are too bold, and the alignment here is off. The alignment is off. The lines are too bold. The the strokes are actually too thick, and these are not SVGs. So please, guys, your icons should always be in SVG format. Vector, please don't use PNGs. PNGs will give you this result. This is pixelating. I mean, even if things are going to be pixelating, it's supposed to be images and not icons, right? But then nothing should be pixelating, right? So please, these are two. The person actually did a couple of value here. This was drawn, and this looks like an image. But then please don't use PNG for icons. Always stick with vectors, SVGs, and the outlines are too thick. Is somebody saying something? Okay, guess nobody's saying anything then. Right, so the paddings, the outlines are too thick, the lines are too obvious, they're taking a lot of the attention. This visualization looks off to me. I understand what you're trying to do. It just looks really off, really off. Probably would have been better if it wasn't there at all, right? Probably would have been better if it wasn't there at all. So once again, every single thing that is wrong here could have been fixed if you went through the design book, right? This is too visible. Like the text in your search bar should never be this visible. Never. That's what the icon is for. Everybody knows this is a search icon, right? Of course, you're going to write search, but it should never be this visible. This is not really a good practice. So please, in subsequent designs, take note, right? And then there is no indicator on the nav menu to show where the user currently is. So I don't know if this is the home page or anything, but if this is the home page, it should have been indicated here, but there's no indicator. I don't know where I am. I'm just here somewhere, right? So please, if the owner of the design, this design is here, take note of these things and just try to fix them and clean up the design as best you can. Okay, I'm not going to waste too much time on this. This person designed a component. This is not a desktop app. This is just a component that could have been in a desktop app. So we can't judge this. This is not what we asked for. I mean, it doesn't look bad. It looks good, but this is not what we asked for. So I'm just going to be moving along. Somebody designed a landing page, right? This should probably be the last thing I touch. But then it's not a landing page that we asked for. So we're not even going to be judging this at all. We didn't ask for a landing page. We asked for a desktop app, right? Please take notes if you're here. Okay. This should probably be the last one I'm going to take. I'm not going to take anyone after this. Yeah, so we can move along. All right, let me zoom in so we can see properly. Okay. This is not a bad submission. This is not a bad submission. This is not a bad submission. But then it also needs more work. It needs more work. Number one, the alignment. I feel like we've been repeating the same thing. So please, guys, alignment is very important. It's very, very important. Everything should be properly aligned because it just throws the design off. It throws the design off, right? So please take notes. Everything should be well aligned. Everything should be well aligned. Look at this, for instance. It's so obvious that this is not aligning. Even the line is not aligning with the artist's text, right? This feels weird. This feels weird. I feel like this aspect could have been better differentiated. I can understand that you're trying to differentiate the plain next component from the actual navigation menu. I get that, but then this feels a bit weird, especially the way it's joining. It feels a bit off. See, everything is just joining together. There should be space. There should be a clear indication that these things are different, right? So it would have made a lot of sense if this was aligned with this, right? So if this was reduced and then it was aligned with this, it would have been a lot better, right? That would have been better. Okay, we can see names. These are artists. Okay, that makes sense. It's because they're artists. The icons are actually quite interesting. I can see consistency in the icons. Consistency in the icons. Now, the difference between this and what we saw earlier, you can see that this was written out in bold, is that this is not really a search field. This is more like a search button. But then I don't think this is necessary because users are used to saying search fields as search fields, not search buttons, right? So I feel like you were trying to reinvent the wheel a bit here, but then it's really not necessary. There's no need for this. So the search field search field should be left as search field, right? Where people know that that's where they can search for their music, whatever it is that they're looking for. And yes, from Made in Lagos album, this feels a bit off too, actually. This feels a bit off. Probably could have been better arranged. So the thing is, every single thing we've been talking about, every single issue we've pointed out, and every good design that we've talked about, all you need to fix them are in the design book, really, right? And then for the tasks that you were given, hello?
Yeah, Dummy, I need to
Yeah.
add something, right? Before
Okay.
you conclude the review.
Okay.
Can I share my screen?
Oh yeah, let me stop sharing. Go on, please.
How do I hide this? Okay, so there is one thing we need to actually understand in this internship is the fact that when you are told to submit a Figma link, make sure you submit a Figma link and not a PDF document. So one thing about this particular submission is the fact that I can't actually see what this person has designed. Even when I zoom in, right, it's still going to be very difficult for me to actually see what he or she has designed. So it's vital you pay attention to the rules that have been placed out, right? If you're told to submit a Figma link, please submit a Figma link. If you are told to submit a PDF document, I don't think that will even happen, but please submit a PDF document. Thank you. I think that's all.
All right, thank you very much, Nidu. Okay, so guys, at this point, I feel like
Dami.
somebody.
Hi, Dami. I just wanted to add something.
Okay, please go on.
Yeah, okay. So while looking over the designs, I noticed that some of these mistakes are because you just don't want to go over your work again when you're done. Yeah, so I think that when you think you're done, you're not actually done. I think you should maybe rest a little because maybe it's tiredness that makes you think, okay, let me quickly rush and finish and submit, even though the deadline might not be approaching. I think that when you think you're done, just hold on, maybe take a little rest and then go back and look at your designs again. Attention to detail is very important in visual design and any kind of design that is visual. So pay attention to every corner, every pixel, so that, because it's little stuff that ruins designs. It's little stuff, a little misalignment there, a little pixelation here, a little bad aspect ratio here is what makes design look off. So when you think you're done, I guarantee you're not done. Take a little rest, or I don't know, maybe go for a walk or do something, then come back later and then look at it again. And I'm sure you'll find errors to correct. So that's all. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much, David. Somebody actually told me a long time ago that design is never done. And I've been running with that till date. Like every time I finish my work, I'm always making iterations. Like I see something that is wrong, I'm fixing. Right. And that's really the truth, right? You just have to, you're just gonna get to a point where you tell yourself that, okay, this is good to go. Not that I'm done, but you just have to tell yourself that this is good to go, and then you submit, because it's never done. All right, so really every single thing that we have been going through, every single thing we've been saying, like I said earlier, all you need is the handbook, and you already have access to it. You can download, read through. David, can you please mute yourself? I'm getting some noise from the background. All right, so okay, it's not David, it's All right, Amali. All right. So please get the handbook. And for clarity, the task is to design a desktop app, not a web app, right? So part of the assignments, or part of the things you need to do before you actually start this work is to go figure out what the difference are between desktop apps and web apps, right? Because I feel like that's where some of the confusions were coming in. But then we're not going to describe that for you. It's part of the job you're going to have to do. To understand that there's a difference between web app and desktop app, and it's your job to take WinApp. WinApp is currently a desktop app, it's not a web app. So it's your job to take WinApp and redesign it, still, still keeping it as a desktop app, right? So that really is the task. So please, we don't want components of a desktop app. We don't want landing pages, right? We don't want too much paparazzi. Really, it's not so complicated, right? Don't overthink it. Just draw, like, have a plan for it. Like, go through WinApp. You guys already know how WinApp is, right? Go through WinApp and just think, how can I make this better? What can I do to make it better, right? And do that, right? And then when you're done, just open the design book one more time, because of course it can be tasking. You can't be designing and reading the book simultaneously. No, nobody's expecting you to do that. We're humans. So redesign WinApp. When you're done, go through the design book and then start reading through. So if you're seeing inconsistencies or things that you feel like, or you feel that can change, or things that you need to adjust, then you can work on those updates before you submit, right? So let me put everyone's minds at ease and tell you that nobody's getting eliminated yet, right? The first set of submissions was just to have something to leverage on to walk you guys through this workshop, right? But then for the really great submissions, we are going to be moving those designers to stage 2. Those designers are going to be promoted very soon, right? But then nobody's getting eliminated. Like, we are not disqualifying anybody yet. You have a second chance to, take this task again and try to make it better this time with these insights that we've given you. Please and please, I could tell, or we all could tell, that we have a lot of designers on board, a lot of beginners on board. Please, we were not trying to be too harsh or discourage you from taking or from going the design route. Of course, everybody has to start from somewhere. We are just trying to point out these basic errors so you can be conscious of them for subsequent designs that you're going to be creating, right? So of course, we try to be as beginner friendly as possible, right? So you've seen the things we've pointed out. You've seen what we've been hammering about. Just go and work on those things and submit something better. We promise you that we're going to be fair when we're grading. We are definitely going to be fair. We just have to point this thing out during this call so that everybody can get a clear sense of what we're looking for and what we want you to do, right? We're definitely going to be fair. And yes, you're going to
Try.
Yes. Sorry, I have a question. We'll be getting task notification during the internship proper. So that's the thing. This task is supposed to help you get in. So right now, you're more or less like in stage 1, right? But then we didn't want to start moving people into stage 1 and they'll move from stage 1 to stage 2. That's not how we're running it, right? So this task is going to be the determinant on whether or not you're going to be coming on board. So the first task was a test, right? The people that did really good are going to come into stage 2, but nobody is being disqualified yet. You have a second chance. This is your second chance to do it better. So once again, the task is to redesign WinApp, the desktop app, right? That's the task. And this is just for designers. Please, if there are any front end or back end on board, this call is not for you. You can leave now. Thank you. For the designers, yes, that's the task. So you have a second chance to redesign. If your work was part of the work that we were talking about just now that wasn't good enough, you have the second chance to retry. So it's at this point that, can we use pure white or text for text? Please, these things they're already in the design book. I don't want to take too much of everyone's time. It's almost an hour, right? So please, that's really everything, right? By the way, yes, you can use pure white for text. That's fine. It's pure black that is the problem. All right. Does anybody else have anything to add? How long will HNG last? HNG is going to end in December, so
Yeah, so
What do you want?
Daniel, I have something to add real quick. From
Okay,
the
go on, please.
design review, it was obvious that a lot of designers, it's your first time even trying to put pixels together, which is
Yeah, it
fine.
was obvious.
So, yeah, we would say like it's not designed for beginners, but there have been designers that were first-time designers coming into HNG, and the first task they submitted would be like a lot of you, where it's the first time they put the pixels together. I had experience with design, but it was the first time doing UI design when I was in HNG. And every designer has something they excel at, whether it's really good UI or understanding the UX. In my case, was understanding the task and interpreting it well. I just wasn't as fast. And you will have challenges through the internship. Mine was power issues, but I made it through. So what I'm just trying to say is, regardless of where you're starting, what your key strength is, what your biggest weakness is, the constant thing is that you have to put time into design and learn really fast. So this is just the first step of feedback, and things will just ramp up from here. So the speed at which you can take the feedback and implement it is key to success. So regardless of if you were the person that did a really good design or did a really bad design, the time you need to put in to ramp up through the internship is really crucial. So I just want to wish everyone out the best and looking forward to the designs.
All right, thank you very much, Ovi. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you. So, how do we know our design pass? I'm struggling to understand this question. Are you asking how do you know if you passed? The way it was phrased is quite confusing. Dejavu, if you could please help me get a better phrasing from the person. The next question is, how is the designers that have passed this stage be notified? Don't worry, you'll get an invite via email. That's how it's going to work. We'll invite you to a Slack channel officially via email. Is there a workshop for the other tracks too? This is for designs. I don't know. I don't know if, but right now there's no workshop for front end and back end. I don't think they're going to be having any. Mark, can you come in here, or we should just move on? But yeah, there's none I know about for now for front end and back end. So it's just we designers that are having this workshop. Okay, yeah, no workshop. Okay, so yeah, if you've passed, you would know. Would invite you via email. What of those that didn't submit at all? Yes, if you didn't submit at all before, it's still fine. You have a second chance. Everybody has this second chance. Do you understand? So even if you've not submitted at all, or your submission was part of the ones that were reviewed that needed more work, or you knew that your submission was not up to standard, but then we didn't touch on your own at all, you guys have a chance to review. This is your second chance, right? So we are going to tell you when this next submission is going to be due. Please, this one is compulsory. The first one you could have chosen to not do, but this one is compulsory. If you don't do this well, or if you don't do this at all, you are not going to be brought into the program. So please take this seriously. And remember, it's a desktop app, not a web app. The first task is for you to understand the difference. Second task is for you to actually design something, redesign Winamp as a desktop app, and make it better. Can we still keep working on submitted designs? Well, okay, this is quite tricky. I think you can though. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to have them submit these new ones elsewhere. Like they're not going to be using the same link they used to submit the first one, right? So yes, please, you can work on already submitted designs again, and if peradventure it turns out that you are part of the people that have been selected or that have been promoted to stage 2, you can as well just stop working on it or still design submit if you want, right? But then yes, please, you can decide to work on submitted designs already. You're just going to have to resubmit via another link, which will be provided to you shortly after this call. Is that all? Do you have any more questions? Okay, I don't think we do. So please, guys, like I said, we are all humans. We're not rooting for you to fail. We're not rooting for you to get kicked out of the program. But rest are repetitive. All right, thank you very much, Dejavu. Thank you. All right, so please, we're not rooting for you to get kicked out. We're actually looking for talent, because we know Nigeria has a lot of talent, and we're looking for this talent. So please give us your best, and we promise you we're going to be fair with grading. And HNG is an interesting program. You'd enjoy it. All right, thank you very much. That brings us to the end of this workshop. Whatever question you have, how are we going to submit? I just said that we are going to share you a link, a new submission link for this. We are going to share you a new submission link. Just keep your notification on Twitter. That's where a lot of our announcements happen, right? If you're not following us on
Yeah.
Twitter yet, you
The
should.
Twitter handle.
Yes,
the Twitter
please.
handle.
Twitter. Yes.
No,
So that's where.
mention the handle so they know.
Oh, it's HNG internship at HNG internship team. Can I be able to pull it up? Let me see if I can pull it up. Hold on. So we can just see it and everybody can, because that's where a lot of these things are happening. All right. Okay. Yes. Or this is it. So this is our official Twitter handle, HNG internship. Because when you see this background profile and background picture, you know that it's us. So just follow. A lot of the announcements drop here, and anything that you need will be communicated to you here, right? Stop sharing. So if there are no further questions, thank you very much for. And please don't mind my plenty tabs. I always have a lot of tabs open when I'm working. Thank you very much for joining us. I think this brings us to the end of this workshop. Bye.